Hello and welcome back to Voice of the Vic podcast. I'm Ben Aiton and I'm joined by Joe Thomas. And tonight we're asking, are Watford quietly turning into playoff crashers? 7 points from 12, all against playoff chasing sides. So the question is, are the Hornets still in this race? A 2-1 win away at Bristol City, not a smash and grab, not backs to the walls, controlled, mature, earned. We managed the game, took our chances, and looked like a team with something to play for. Under Ed Steele, there's structure, there's clarity, and maybe, just maybe, there's belief creeping back in. We'll break down the performance, including big displays from Ngakia, Kjerrumgaard, and Kayembe, and we'll look at the bigger picture. Is this sustainable form, or just well-timed, or just a well-timed bounce? 7 from 12 is playoff form over a season. It's automatic pace. So the question is simple. Are we daring to dream? Are we getting too carried away? But let's get into it. As I said, I'm joined by Joe tonight. Joe, apologies for the delay. Everyone, apologies for the delay. Been a mental day. Work is hell for me at the moment. I don't have time to wipe my arse sometimes when I go for a shit. Sorry, Mike, you're going to have to put a rating on this podcast for swear words. I've done it within 1 minute, so up and eight. But yeah, it's been a stressful week at work. Just managed to get my daughter off to sleep. She's taking longer to get to sleep. Having to try and arrange this podcast with Joe that I was meant to do last night and had to push it back tonight. Fuck my life. But Joe, how are you, mate? I hope you're better than me.
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Thank you. I'm good. Yeah, I get what you mean. It's just sometimes there's just so much going on. Like obviously when I arrange to do a podcast when I've got the girls and the whole bedtime process, getting them down, settling them, especially when you've had like a long day, you come home, you're doing all like the home stuff. Yeah, so I know exactly how you feel, mate. Um, yeah, Jess is right. I hope you've wiped your ass before you started tonight.
Oh, well, I don't know. You can check if you want, but no, no, I've made sure I've gone to the toilet. I get a bit nervous before a podcast sometimes, so I've had to. Oh God, I sound like Mike. Mike always talks about shits in the WhatsApp group, and I know we've gone massively off topic, but look, we was meant to do a Bristol City review. That was Friday night. This is Wednesday night. Let's talk about work, how stressful life is, talk about shits and everything. Smell-o-vision, as Jess says. Let's have a smell-o-vision. But yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like going off on a tangent tonight, Joe. I know I've been prepping tonight's podcast, but I'm going to do Control Alt Delete on that Word document I've done and just go off topic. But yeah, it's been a stressful old day. You don't really have to do the bedtime routine too much, Joe, I imagine, in your household. Like at the moment, I'm still having to like my daughter's a bit funny, like she wants to be patted to sleep like when she was like a baby, and we've just carried it on and she just can't settle without us leaving the room on her own. So at the moment I'm lying in bed with her, like patting her back, and then I get up, creep over to the door, and then the moment I open the door, she wakes up going, and it's like, go to sleep, Isla. Daddy's got a podcast.
Yeah,
Then I'm creeping back
that's
in. I don't know what it's like for you, Joe. Are you still patting your children to sleep?
no, the girls are really good, mate. They actually love their sleep. They put them in bed and they're asleep within like 10 minutes.
You're a
Yeah.
lucky man.
Well, obviously we're
Got any
we're
tips?
quite an active bunch, so we're out
Yeah.
loads, so they're quite tired. And yeah, they're really lucky. They usually sleep till I usually try and get them in bed for between 7:45 and 8:15. Weekends maybe about 7:30, but they'll usually sleep till probably about 7:30 the following morning.
Oh, brilliant. See, Isla wakes up crack of dawn on the weekend. During the week, it's a struggle to get her out of bed for school.
Oh,
And I
so that's
imagine it's the same with every single
frustrating.
child. Yeah. And it's like, I try to get up early on a Sunday to go for a run. And I don't like interrupting the day going for a run. So I get up at the crack of dawn. I say crack of dawn, I'm up at 6 o'clock in the morning, but I get ready and I'm ready to leave about 6:30. The moment I leave the bedroom, there she is. And it's just like, Kate. my Mrs. Kate, she's fuming. She's like, for God's sake, why don't you just go for a run later in the day so I can get a lay in? But she just wants to wake up when Daddy does. It's not my fault. So yeah, I go for a run for an hour, and Kate has to deal with a 5-year-old. So yeah. Um, but yes, we are here to talk about Watford FC. This isn't a dad podcast, although it has to go into a spin off and talk about daddy duties and everything like that. Christmas special incoming to your ears very soon.
Yeah.
Bristol City away Wednesday night. If you can remember back to Wednesday night,
Friday night.
away win Friday night. See, I told you it's been a nightmare day. At least I've not called Ed Still Will Still yet, like I have done in previous podcasts. One I absolutely screwed up. But yeah, it's all good. And just checking everyone, can you hear me clearly? My audio has been crap for the last few weeks, but I've sorted it all out. So hopefully I'm all crystal clear now and you can hear me. But yeah, Joe, Friday night, 2-1 away win at Ashton Gate. We've not won there since we had Sean Dyche in charge. So a very, very long time ago, pre Gino Pozzo. Big win for Watford to put us back into the playoff pictures, especially after the defeat to Ipswich Town beforehand.
Yeah, really, really, really good result. Obviously, because we've not won there under the Pozzos, it's one when you look at the fixture list, you kind of think, will it happen? Won't it happen? Obviously, we've gone down there. I think we played a blinder, to be honest. I think Bristol City are on a bit of a bad run at the moment. That was proved last night. They went to Port Vale last night and lost, didn't they, in the cup? So they'll be bitterly disappointed to go out of the FA Cup up there. But yeah, I thought we played really well. I was really pleased with a lot of performances. I thought there were a lot of players that stepped up and showed from recent weeks where they've not been so good that they actually are good enough to be in the starting 11. I will eat a little slice of humble pie this evening and say that Edu Kayembe was my favourite player on the pitch on Friday.
Favourite player? Did you hear that, Jess?
Yeah, I will only say it once. That will be the only time I say it all season. But no, credit, as we always say, credit where credit is due. He was phenomenal. He had a very, very good game on Friday. He obviously got the assist for Kjerrumgaard for the first goal. He looked a different player. I was pleasantly surprised. With a player like Kayembe, who, I mean, let's be honest, he is very inconsistent. When he starts a game that good, you think, oh, his performance will drop off, but his levels didn't drop all night. He was running around everywhere. Passing was great. He was getting stuck in tackles where needed. I was really impressed with him. So yeah, it's a cracking result. Obviously, as you say, we haven't won there since 2012. Sky did show it on Friday night before the David James calamity, if you remember.
Yes.
So yeah, it's nice to break that hoodoo that we've got down there of drawing, losing. Because I've been down there a few times and obviously not seen us win. So of course, the one time I don't go down there, we win. So, but yeah, obviously, with the games we've got coming up, it was an important 3 points. I wouldn't say it's put us right back in it. We're still in the mix. I still think, these next 2 games coming up, which we'll talk about shortly, I do think that if we don't win both of them, then depending on what Wrexham do, we could be out of it by the time we play them. But obviously, it just takes that game. That game when we play them, as long as we're 6 points or less, it's going to be important. Anything more than that, I mean, I just think it's going to be too tough. I think they're really playing well and they're picking up results, aren't they? So yeah, hard to kind of know what's going to happen at the moment, because obviously Hull played last night, didn't they? They had their game in hand against Ipswich. They lost. That was their first away defeat in in 6, I believe. They'd won 5 consecutive away games. So, they've been picking up results. Every time I think that someone, I mean, Cam's been saying in our chat, hasn't he, that some teams are catchable. But every time you look at a result, Millwall are picking up results. They beat Preston. Hull obviously won at the weekend, but didn't last night. All those playoff teams just keep winning. And as I said on after the Borough game on Monday night, the top 9 won at the weekend, which you don't usually see that many teams in the top half winning. So yeah, a bit frustrating, because obviously it's important because we won, but it would have just been nice for a couple of teams to drop some points around us, and obviously it didn't happen. So nothing really changed after the weekend point wise, did it?
No, not really. It was a shame, because I feel like with us playing Friday night, it was our turn to put the pressure on the teams going into Saturdays chasing for the playoff spot. And to be fair to them, they all reacted really strongly and all won their games. So yeah, that was frustrating. But we just needed to pick up those 3 points at Bristol City just to keep us at arm's length with the playoffs, because I think it's going to be incredibly tough for us to get into the playoffs now. You've got to put in consistent performances and pick up consistent results. So you need to not just win one, you need to put results together. So you need back-to-back wins, or you need to go on a run of like 4 wins out of 5 or something, just to try and cement yourself in there. Because I guarantee not every team above us is going to win every game until the end of the season. So we need to outscore them with our points for the rest of the season. And 6 points is it's catchable. And we still got teams to play who are in and around that. So 6 points on Wrexham, we're playing them in a week and a half's time. Win that game, it's only 3 points. You win that next game and Wrexham's slip up, that's down to 0 points within like 2-3 games. So it's a difficult one. I don't think we can rule out Watford to make a late charge just yet, but I do believe it's going to be incredibly tough, especially with the amount of teams that are in the mix. For the league table, Joe, it's so tight, isn't it? Like, there's so many teams that could be there or thereabouts at the end of the season. And I don't know about you, I don't personally want Watford to get promoted this season. I don't think we're ready for Premier League football. Yes, I know we need to get promoted to try and keep hold of some of the star players. Otherwise, they'll be sold this summer. I understand that. But as a football club, I don't think we're ready for Premier League football. And I think we would end up coming straight back down and have terrible seasons like we've seen with Southampton, and then Wolves have struggled this season, but have improved results recently. But are you wanting promotion this season? Or are you just wanting your team to challenge and be there or thereabouts at the end of the season?
Well, it's really tough because, like, when I think back to previous years that we've been in this kind of situation where we're loitering around the playoffs. I remember the first year I remember us getting in the playoffs under Graham Taylor in '99. We went on a run of seven straight wins, I believe it was, to sneak in. It was totally unexpected, and it was just one of those free hit, see what happens. If we go up, great. If we don't, it's been a good effort to at least get into the playoffs. I then think to obviously the AD Boothroyd time we got into the playoffs. The first time, again, I remember losing to Palace and Leeds over the 4 games of the season. And when we played Palace, I didn't think we'd beat them. We obviously comfortably did them away, which made the home game quite easy to enjoy. And I didn't expect us to beat Leeds, and we did comfortably. You look at that year, the year we came down under Boothroyd, the year after. I was just having a look because I was intrigued, because I couldn't remember how bad it was. But we actually only won 1 game in 14 towards the end of that season, and we snuck in the playoffs by drawing away at Blackpool on the final day of the season, and we got in on goal difference, I think ahead of Wolves, I think it was, due to that goal. So we snuck in that day, and we didn't I wasn't confident then. And obviously we got hammered 6-1, didn't we, on aggregate by Hull in that semi-final. It was horrendous.
Yeah.
And then obviously fast forwarding, obviously we've not had another playoff experience since, have we? That was our last taste of the playoffs, wasn't it? Because we obviously
Yeah,
went up.
because we've had automatic since, yeah, twice since then.
Yeah, so I'll be honest, if we got into the playoffs, it would be really nice to get in and have that experience again. If we go up, we go up. If we don't, I mean, it's going to be disappointing. But looking at the teams that are in the playoffs at the moment, do I think we can beat them? I think we can beat them all, to be honest with you. Um, I think if we could end up, I know a lot of people will say Millwall have got a good team, but if we can end up with Millwall in the semi-finals, I think we can beat Millwall over 2 legs. I'm
I do not
confident.
want to go to. I don't want to go to a new the new ten in a semi final for the playoffs. That's gonna be it's a hostile place as it is normally, and that's not forget about 12 man. That's like 24,000 men roaring you on to get over the line. That'll be incredibly tough.
Yeah, it would be tough, but I think I think we could. Yeah, I think we could win over 2 legs against them, and then I think Ipswich, if they were to make the final, I'd be quietly confident that they would feel very pressured in a game like that because it's very important. It's a lot more important to them than it would be to us. For us, we'd be at Wembley for the day out. We'd be there for the experience. Um, it'd be a great occasion for the players. But ultimately, the wages probably that Ipswich are paying the players that they've got, they know that is a lot more important for them as a football club. It was the same with Leeds when we played Leeds. It was a lot more important for Leeds in that playoff final. So yeah, I mean, if we
It's
get there,
similar
great.
to Sheffield United last year against Sunderland. Yes, Sunderland are a big side, but I guess Sheffield United were going into that final heavy favourites, really, especially with the best squad that they had.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they really did, and yeah, I mean, teams fans love the underdog, don't they? And I think a lot of people probably would be quietly cheering us on. Some maybe not because of the amount of times we change our manager. But yeah, I mean, look, do I think we're going to get there? I believe that I think our playoff hopes are going to be ended before the end of this month. If I'm being completely honest, I'm just being realistic. I don't
Mm.
want to. I know people are probably going to say, until it's mathematically impossible. Yeah, fine. I get it, but it's going to be incredibly tough. When we look at the fixtures that we've got, I still believe they're favourable. We've got to play the bottom 4. So anything can happen. When you've got games like that, but then in another breath, I've said that we've not done well against the teams at the bottom this year. We've struggled performance wise. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, there's still a lot of points up for grabs. I think that what I'm impressed with most is that you can see there's something that's clicked within this team that Ed Steele's playing at the moment. You can see that the players want to play for him quite quickly. I thought it would take a little bit longer, but I'm impressed with the way he sets up in games. I've said it after each game that I've listened to him speak. I'm impressed by the way he speaks. He seems like a very knowledgeable manager. I do find it quite surprising the position that he's found himself in at other clubs in terms of like how poorly he's done, considering how well he is coming across with us. Maybe he's just needed a team with better players, and getting his points across the way he is just clicking. But yeah, look, let's just take one game at a time. We've got Sheffield Wednesday next week. As much as everyone will go, Sheffield Wednesday are crap, they're awful. I'm still incredibly nervous because I know what we can be like, and my worry is that we might panic, and if we go a goal down, you know what we're like. We find it incredibly hard to get back into games, and it could be that we're sitting 1-0 behind again for 80 minutes of a game, and then we nick a late goal for a draw, which would just be again a catastrophe and a complete and utter shitter for us, wouldn't it? But yeah,
Well, you say that earlier on in the season, we was one of the best sides at coming from behind to acquire points, weren't we? Whereas now
yeah,
that's slowed off a little bit. I guess maybe we've improved by not conceding that first goal first potentially. But yeah, we did have it in us a lot to come back from behind. Like you said, there's lots of points up for grabs. We've got 11 fixtures left, so that's a total of 33 points left to play. We've got some good games coming up as well. So I'll just run through them all now. I'll run through the 11. First up is Sheffield Wednesday away. Then it's Stoke City away. Obviously, Stoke City are quite injury hit and miss. They were up there. They tailed off. Will they be up there again at the end of the season? I don't think so. I don't think they've got enough up there. So I think going to Stoke could be a good game for Watford. Then the big one is all eyes are on this. This is like our cup final, and it's against Wrexham. And you got to give them plaudits. They've been outstanding this season. And if I was honest, I thought they was going to struggle this year. I didn't think they'd get relegated. I thought they'd have enough to stay up, but I didn't think they'll do as well as they have done. And I didn't think that at this stage in the season, Phil Parkinson would still be the Wrexham manager. But tell you what, the owners they've got there are fantastic. They've backed the manager. They've given him plenty of time, plenty of resources, and they're doing fantastically well. And there is like a team that you might want to go up instead of yourselves if you can't go up. I wouldn't mind Wrexham giving it a go to go up. Like they deserve it. They've been incredible. So yeah, that'd be incredibly tough. 6 point of that one is Joe. Lose to Wrexham and season over is, do you reckon?
yeah, I genuinely, but if it's 6 points between us going into that game, and they beat us, that's 9 points. That's nine points behind, 3 games down, so that's 9 points less. That's 24 left available to get in with 9 points behind with 24 left. Yeah, all right, it's still mathematically possible that we can get in, but it just makes it a lot. It makes it very, very tough for me because you're
Yeah,
expecting them to lose 3 games when they're doing so well. So I just can't. I do think that it is all on that game. If we can take it down to 3 points that night,
yeah,
obviously we're in with a great shout, especially with the games that we've got. I mean, I'm looking at them as well, and you like you're saying, like Leicester at home, not great. QPR away, awful everywhere they go at the moment. Charlton struggling. Oxford not, they're fighting, not doing so well. Sheffield United is the only one that may concern me, really, because they're sort of doing well now. West Brom, they're just awful everywhere as well, like QPR. And then obviously the final two, hopefully they'll both be promoted by then. So if they're both promoted, if we are still in with a shout, then those 2 games, if Coventry have won the league and Middlesbrough are going up second, then neither are going to really give a crap, are they? So
no,
it's I mean, if you're looking at that and those games, what is a realistic points total from those 11 games?
don't know.
All
But
right, okay. I'm saying what's a realistic? What do you think we need to get into the playoffs from this point from 11 games?
we're 6 points off already, aren't we? So we definitely need to make up the six. I don't know. It's going to be incredibly tough. I think you need more than 20 points to get in there
I
because
think I
and
think you
we're
need
playing 14,
I think you need 8 wins
8
at
wins,
least.
and it's potentially doable. Um, Going through the rest of the squad list, So Sheffield Wednesday away, I'd say win. Stoke City away, I think like potentially draw. Wrexham at home, it's huge. I was just looking at the fixtures for Wrexham. They've got 4 games to play. Well, 3 games to play before we play them. We've obviously got 2 games to play. They've got Chelsea coming up in the FA Cup 5th round this Saturday at Wrexham. Massive game. Then they've got Hull City at home. Big game for Wrexham, playoff contenders. Then they've got Swansea City at home. Swansea, decent side. I like their high pressing style. So that'll be a tough game for them. And then they come to Vicarage Road. So they've got 3 tough games before they come to us. So potentially they could drop points. So if we can pick up victories at Sheffield Wednesday and maybe a point at Stoke, we could close that gap. So that'll be interesting. Sorry, went off topic. Leicester City at home after Wrexham. Leicester form at the moment is atrocious. So you put that down as a win. So that's 2 wins so far I've got. QPR away. I think QPR can be hit and miss. I don't particularly like QPR, so I'm just going to say win off the back of that. Charlton at home. I think we can redeem our poor opening game of the season where we didn't get anything out of it, and I think we can turn over Nathan Jones's side. So that's 4. Oxford away is going to be tough. I know they're in the relegation zone, but we didn't go there last season and pull up trees. But this time round, I'm hoping under Ed Steele, better prepared. So I'm going to go 5 wins. Sheffield United at home, that's a tricky one. Sheffield United, I think, are going to sneak into the playoffs. I think if they carry on the way they're doing, I think they're going to be a team picking into 6th place. So yeah, won't be winning there. West Brom, they're in a massive fight at the moment. So I think maybe we could pick up a win. They're really struggling. So 6. Middlesbrough, second last game of the season. They're going to have something to play for. I think that's incredibly tough going there. I don't think we're going to get a win at Middlesbrough. And then Coventry at home last game of the season. I think our season would be over and done with at that point. So I don't even think we'll probably be able to win that. Coventry will be coming for celebrations. They'll be up. Champagne's on ice. I think we're going to fall short, Joe, and just get 6 wins out of those 11. What do you reckon?
Yeah, you know what? When you kind of break it down in the way you kind of said, as I said, I think if we can win 8 and get a draw, and then lose 2, then that probably just about sneaks you in the playoffs. Will we get it? I mean, that's incredibly tough to expect the team to do that. Yeah, I think 6 or 7 wins is probably realistic, and then maybe even 6 wins, maybe 3 draws and 2 defeats. Maybe I think we'll fall short. I think we'll maybe fall 4 or 5 points outside the playoffs. However, if you kind of think about the changes coming in next season, it's gonna, if we finish 7th, 8th, just outside, that gets you in the playoffs next season, doesn't it?
What are your thoughts on that, Joe? Obviously, the EFL clubs, championship clubs, are actually going to be voting on it this week. I think I've read. So
Tomorrow.
what they want to do is change the format of the playoffs, where at the moment there's 4 playoffs places from 3rd down to 6th, and they want to change that down from 3rd down to 8th. And what is it, Joe? 7th and 8th end up playing 5th and 6th. First in a one-legged, just a one-off game, is it?
Yeah, so basically the teams the way to think of it, the easiest way is that the higher the team, the home advantage. So the teams that finish, so 1 and 2 will still go up automatically. That's still going to stay as that. 3rd and 4th will get buys into a semi-final. 5th will play 8th. 6th will play 7th. The teams that finish 7th and 8th will be away to the teams that finish higher, respectively in those. Then the winners of those ties are then away to 3rd and 4th. So 3rd and 4th then get the home advantage going into the next leg of it. And then obviously the winners then go into the playoff final from that. Obviously,
This
you
is
know, if
what
you
they
fin
do in the National League.
it's going to be similar. Obviously, the National League, it's only top go up, and then it's second down to
Yeah,
seventh that fight in that in that playoff format. But it is what they do. Obviously, you know, it it. I'm not saying it's not a good idea. At some point, there was going to be a shake-up of some sort with this playoff format. I'm surprised it's taken this long, if I'm being honest, for it to happen. Is it good? I mean, in respect of the fact that there's still, if you think about it, there's still 3 games that you'd pay for, because it's not any more money for the supporter, because you'd have to pay home, you'd have to pay away, for the 2-legged thing. So you're just paying for that first game, second game, and then you still pay for the final if you got there. So in terms of the supporter having to pay, if you're away both times, obviously you just have to pay for the travel. Um, I kind of like it. I mean, it makes it a bit more interesting because they're just all one-off games. So
yeah,
it just means it's all a one-off game. Anything can happen. It's not like you're going to go, oh, we've got to play. You know, we've lost 2-0 to Ipswich. We've got a chance on Tuesday. You've got to go there and you've got to win. You know, it's
Mm.
just it's rubbish if from the perspective that if you do lose 1-0, then like with these 2-legged games, is you can say, well, we're at home next, so we've got an advantage. We've got a chance of coming back. Obviously, with this, you're just out. So yeah, I don't know. I'm all for giving it a go. I do think it is going to get voted in. I think a lot of the clubs will prefer it. I think from a if I'm thinking of the teams that probably are most likely to vote, it's probably all the smaller clubs, because I just
Mm.
feel like if they were to get to a playoff situation, like let's just take a club, trying to
Oxford.
think of one, not even Oxford, I'm trying to think even further down, like Accrington, for example, that are just
Okay.
average every season, may sneak into the playoffs. If they got into the like 7th position, for example, or 8th position, sorry, I should say, um, they go away one game, they get a win, they just go somewhere else, they could get enough win. Then they're at Wembley. You know, they're a club. Actually, I don't think they're one of the. I think there's only 2 clubs left that have never played at Wembley, and Accrington are one of them. They've suddenly then got a day out of Wembley, you know, and then they've got a chance of promotion. Clubs like that, even like teams that are coming out the conference, you look now, like there's so much investment from lower league. Um, Teams that are coming out are more confident. Like there's teams that have been stuck in League Two for ages that just aren't doing anything, whereas teams in the conference are looking at that thinking, "Oh, we can get a bounce, we can go up into League One." And then because they've got investment, they've got good investment, they then think, "Oh, I mean, look at Wrexham. I mean, that's just a prime example. I mean, it is doable because there's other teams that have done it. Look at Yeovil. You know, they had a really good bounce for a few years and they came up. So teams have come up from the conference. They can do it. It's not impossible. So yeah, I do think for the clubs like that. But yeah, what about you? Do you think it's a good idea? Is it something you'd be in favour for if it came in, or are you not really too bothered?
Think it's a good idea. I'm not great when it comes to change, and I quite like things in a set way. So I don't. Originally, when I heard of it, I was like very anti the thought of changing the process for the playoffs and introducing more teams. But then I thought about it, and I was like, well, if it was this season and we're currently ninth, we only need to get into eighth place to be able to squeeze in, and then it's like you say, it's one-off games. I guess it will make it more entertaining for the punters overall, won't it, Joe? Like the neutrals, and it should be more entertaining football. It's not going to be like you see in playoff games at the moment where you've got that home advantage coming up either in the first leg or the second leg, where you might try and go away from home and defend and keep that clean sheet, and then you take it back to your home place and you open it up a little bit more. Whereas this is a one-off game, so I guess in effect it's going to be more entertaining because you're not going to be as defensive. both teams have to go for it. It's a cup final. It's a one-off game, isn't it? So I'm hoping it brings more eyes to the table. I hope it makes it more entertaining, and I I think that teams are going to sneak into this situation and do incredibly well. Like you could see like a team like I don't know. Let's just say Oxford, for example. They've done slightly better this season, maybe, and they put a few runs together last game of the season. Well, last four games they've won out of nowhere. They were 16th, won four games on the spin. Don't know how they've done it, and they've slowly sneaked into eighth place. That's massive for a side like Oxford. Revenue wise, that's going to be brilliant as well.
Mm.
And if they just go away and win 1-0, it's say I don't know away at Millwall or something, and then they win the next one. I think it's exciting. I think it's going to be more eyes on the competition. It should make it more entertaining. Um, and I think it might benefit Watford. I think we've came close on a few occasions and then it's tailed off for Watford. I think with it opening up to an extra two spots, I think Watford have got a better chance of making the playoffs. Um, so yeah, it'll be interesting to know. So you said that they're voting tomorrow. Any ideas on when we'll hear the results on it? Or I imagine they'll keep that close to their chest until maybe a week or two's time.
No, I think the idea is that it comes out quite quickly. They said that the vote was going to be done on the 5th of March. I don't think it's something the Football League will hide. I think as soon as the voting's done, I think they'll make an announcement to say what the favourable what the vote is in favour for. So yeah, I believe I'm sure I read somewhere it's around lunchtime. So yeah, I'll be keeping. It's not a major thing, but it's something I'll be keeping an eye on because I do think, like I say, it's going to be interesting because, as you say, I mean, I think Sheffield Wednesday finished 8th, didn't they, last season? So they were incredibly close before they obviously had their shocking turn of events this year. But yeah, if it changes, see how it goes. Like I say, if we finish 8th this year, if we just think as a club, if we repeat what we've done this year and do it next season and maybe just do it a little bit better, it would be nice to potentially, if we were to, you just got to think that if you do finish, although it's still great to finish 8th and you just sneak in on it, if you finish 6th or 5th or 6th, then you get a home advantage. And obviously, it would just be good to have that home advantage. Obviously,
Mm.
even better if you finish 3rd or 4th, then it's much better because then you're only playing two games. You've got a home advantage for what will be the actual semi-final and a one-off game for a semi-final. You win that, and then you're at Wembley. So, if you think that and dream bigger and think, crikey, if we finish 4th, not only are we going to have a bye, we're not going to be having to play that first game, which is obviously going to be harder for other teams. We get that extra rest, whether that's good or not. Because what you've got to think about, there's so many different permutations that you could think of in this, is that if a team sneaks in 8th and they win, like you say, if it was a team like Oxford and won 4 games on the bounce, if they then win that first game in the semi-final and they're playing a team that's got a bye, is that good or not? Because obviously they've been playing consistently and winning consecutively.
I was going to
Whereas,
mention this, yeah.
so
Maybe it's
there's,
not an advantage to the teams who have got a bye. You get a week off. We've seen it before when Watford have had a week off and then they're back playing, and the other teams have been playing week in, week out. You lose that rhythm, don't you? And it's
yeah,
best example for Watford this season. Postponement away at Hull City, and then the Bristol City FA Cup game straight after. Yes, we've made changes, but I still think we played that same 11 that we wanted to do away at Hull City. I don't think it would have made a difference. Yeah, you get that rhythm, don't you, Joe, playing week in, week out, and you build that chemistry and understanding and confidence, and the confidence of winning games as well is going to be massive. So if you've got a week off and then you got a team coming to you who played 4 days ago and you haven't played for 10 days, I think the advantage is to the team who played 4 games ago instead of a team who hasn't played 10 days ago.
yeah, yeah, it is. And like I say, we say that we've got less games before Wrexham going into that big game. If they win all three of those games going into our game, the fact that depending on what we do, yeah, all right, we're on a good run now. It just makes things incredibly
Yeah,
incredibly tough for us. So yeah, I think like you say, we'll see what happens tomorrow. I think the change is coming in, but yeah, it'll be nice. It'd be nice for something a little bit different. Put it that way, because it's obviously been the same for since I was a kid, and obviously as long as I can remember. Going back to the mid-90s, I think it's actually been like that. This hasn't it since the leagues kind of went the way they did, and the Premier League was formed, and then the football leagues were formed the way they were. So
yeah,
yeah, it's a long time of having the same format with not even really. There's not even really been a whisper of change, is there? So more American, isn't it? That's the thing. Is there's so many American owners now within the UK. It's like it wouldn't surprise me if someone's like, because it's a bit like the Super Bowl, isn't it? Like how the NFL, how you get to the Super Bowl, where you've got like the Eastern and Western conferences, and teams finish top, and then it splits and blah blah blah. So it wouldn't surprise me if someone's gone, oh yes, let's try this, and the Football League have gone, oh yeah, well you pump loads of money into our country through football clubs, so let's just go with an idea that you think's great.
yeah. Watch this space. Hopefully that's the only reference of Americans on this podcast. One evening, anyway. Yeah. I know we've gone massively off topic tonight. Meant to be a Bristol City review, but like we said, that was Friday night. Tonight's Wednesday, so there's no point really talking about a game that we've barely. Yeah, it's been so many days since then. We've all slept in since then. So yeah, that was. I think it was quite important to actually mention about the changes to the EFL and the playoff shake-up, and obviously was talked about the games coming up for Watford, our points. But we potentially could get into the playoffs as well. What would need. So I guess the last question I would ask to you, Joe, before we wrap it up is: has Watford still got it? Have Watford still able to sneak in there? Have we given ourselves a chance after the win against Bristol City, and not just only against Bristol City, 7 points out of 12 against playoff contenders? Are we still in the race or the hunt for the playoffs?
Yeah, I think so. I think the most important thing for us now is that Ed seems to have got a team that he likes at the moment, albeit there's a couple of changes with injuries. If he try and sticks to it as much as possible, I always say when you play the same team, it breeds consistency in performances. I was really impressed with Goglichidze coming back into the side at the weekend. I thought he was really good. I actually think he's a really good player, to be fair. If there's one thing I will say,
Very
yeah,
good.
if there's one thing I'll say is those two defenders that we've got from Udinese and Abanka and Goglichidze, they're both really good. Like they've chucked us some real shite defenders over the years, but
Do not
the
talk about Cabaselli like that. I know he went from man. We sent him to Indonesia, didn't we?
no, well,
Yeah,
I
was
wasn't
it?
referring. I think it was more Newton was one. Um,
A lot of people liked Newton. He just didn't play much for Brazilian.
no, I didn't like him at all.
Angela.
Hassan Kamara, I didn't like. Didn't really rate him much of a left back.
I still to this day don't understand how he got player of the season. I think he was the only one that showed a little bit of effort, but I don't think that warranted him getting player of the season. And then
Nah,
he was atrocious after that. And yeah, I gladly drove him to the airport. Thank you very
Ziegler
much,
was
Hassan.
another.
Who?
Ziegler is his name. Was that his name? The other left-sided player that we had. I think he was the guy that played. Do you remember when we played West Ham at home and Andy Carroll elbowed him in like 20 seconds. Do you remember that? It was
Can't
hilarious.
remember.
It was one Marvin Ziegler. I'm sure that was his name.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He stands out as he got that amazing assist away at Newcastle, didn't he, over on the left hand side? Didn't really
Yeah,
do much afterwards, and didn't he wear like a Zorro mask because he broke his nose once
yeah.
playing for Watford
That
as
was when
well?
Andy
But there
Carroll
you
elbowed
go.
him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
I like these trips down memory lane.
yeah. So
Molly
just
Wagyu.
oh yeah, yeah. Molly. Good
What
God. Yeah, he
what
scored.
what a
Did he?
player.
I remember he scored. I think he scored against. I can't remember who he scored against, but I remember him scoring. But
Mm,
yeah, so the yeah, Goglachidze and Abanka are both doing really
they're
well in the side.
upgrades.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're really good. Um, and like just talking about performances. Obviously, Jess has mentioned it was a while ago now, but Kjerrumgaard is. I think he's improving myself.
I
Like
agree.
I think he's improving. Like it was a really good instinctive finish on Friday night. It was good to the fact that he got the head of the defender. It was a great finish into the roof of the net. Um, his movement seems to be a little bit quicker now. He actually looks like he's lost a bit of weight. Like he looks like he's actually been like working on physique. And he seems to be moving a lot quicker than he was to begin with. Is that 10 goals for him now in all competitions? I think he's now reached double
Uh,
figures.
I think it's nine,
Oh, is it only nine? Is
nine
it
still.
okay?
But two goals in 3 games.
Right, okay. But yeah, I mean he's close to getting double figures, which is great. And then obviously the other person I mentioned, Chakvetadze. I've obviously hammered him in recent weeks. I still don't like him out on the left hand side. Like I know he played better on Friday, but for me, he shouldn't play out wide. He just doesn't suit playing wide. Um, he it was mentioned in the. I know he got a bit of an assist in that goal against Derby. The last goal when he picked up the
Yeah.
ball and then passed it through to Bowler for the cross. But he just takes this. He sucks the pace out of an attack usually. Um, all right, Friday night it wasn't the case, and he actually was a lot better in movement. He actually wanted to run at people. It was a completely different kind of performance from him. It really surprised me just how different he was. But yeah, I mean, look, I just hope the people that we've got out injured. I hope some of them can come back. Obviously, I think we've been told that Mama Bar are both out till after the international break, aren't they? So without them, we can't really afford to lose anybody else out wide. I thought Mendy. Thinking of Mendy, I didn't think he was as good on Friday night as what he has been. Not poor though, just didn't really do as much. Um, Loser, I feel sorry for Loser. I think teams just want to mark him out of games, so it just makes it very difficult for him. Like things don't flow as well as what they did at the start of the season. Like I think up till his last goal was Ipswich, wasn't it? When that 1-1 draw that you went to, and
Yeah.
he's not really done anything else since. In terms of like performance goals, like I think he's been really quiet for a good 3 or 4 months now. But
I
I
think
just
because
think,
he played so well in that start of the season, he struggled to keep that consistency at that high level, hasn't he? And he hasn't played particularly bad. It's just not been as good as what his standards were at the start of the season.
yeah, yeah, I think that's probably the best way to describe it. But like I say, I just think it's a lot harder when you kind of go into a game and you see like 2, 3 players are targeting him, and it just means he can't move freely like he did before. But if there's one thing I will say is what has been plainly obvious under Ed Still is that he can't play a midfield two
Mm.
because it just doesn't work. Doesn't work for us. He's got to play three in the midfield. So if whatever changes he makes, he's got to ensure there's three players in that midfield. I'm going to be really intrigued because obviously we've had a bit of a gap. Bove's close. I do wonder whether we see Bove at Sheffield Wednesday get a start. Be really interesting to see because I think in what we have seen from him at home, he's got a very high tempo. He's really vocal. Like in that game against Ipswich, he was shouting at people. He was telling people what to do. He was giving instruction, which I really like because he just shows you, like, he's obviously come from a big club in Italy, in Roma. Obviously, he played for Fiorentina as well, but they're big clubs. And for a person like that, he's got a big personality. He's not afraid in being someone new to be giving instructions to some of our players. So I do think sometimes they just need a bit of an arm around them. So yeah, be interesting because if he does stay, obviously we know Loser's going to be leaving in the summer. I think we're all expecting that based on previous things we've heard around the club. Could Bove be a shout for captain next season?
Potentially, if he's showing that leadership and he's using his voice already.
Yeah.
You were saying potentially for him to come in and get a start away at Sheffield Wednesday. Who would you replace for him to come in? Because obviously Kayembe's been playing incredibly well under Ed Steele. I think this is probably the best he's been playing all season, and Ed Steele's managed to find something that other managers haven't done with Edo Kayembe, and is actually being an asset to the team. 2 assists at the weekend against Bristol City. Just this version of Kayembe's huge for Watford. So, who would you look to maybe replace for Eduardo Bove?
I would maybe. That's actually really tough. I wouldn't be shocked if. I mean, based on what we've seen where he's played him,
It's
obviously he
tough,
played
isn't
in
it?
wide. He played in wide left when he came on against Ipswich. So you'd maybe give Chadvikatze, um, you'd
Yeah,
bench him maybe, and then bring Chadvikatze on. But
it's a
you
good
know,
shout.
but based on what he did against Bristol City, I'd feel hard. Georgie'd feel hard done by. Um, yeah, it's really tough. I mean, I actually wouldn't even say I wouldn't even be shocked because we've had a gap and Ekwa's been able to get some game time. Whether Ekwa might come in and start against Sheffield Wednesday over Mendy.
Yeah, to give him a bit of a break and ease him into first team football.
Yeah, because there's no reason why with those two, Mendy's obviously not as young as what he was. He's obviously played a lot of minutes recently because we've not really had anybody else there. Obviously, we brought in Ekwa to kind of split that position up a little bit. There's no reason why Ekwa can start and get 45 minutes and then bring Mendy on for the other
Mm.
45. So there could be a few changes, not because people are needing to come out, but I think it would just be good to see. And it's a look, Sheffield Wednesday. Without being too horrible, they're still competing. They're still like trying their hardest. But it's a game that with the squad that we've got, we can go there and win, regardless of who starts. So it would just be interesting to see some other players come in, see what they can do, and just give them some minutes. I think in a game like that, because I'd rather do it in that game than do it at Stoke at the weekend.
No, I agree. I think there could be a few changes. Do you think it's? I'm going to make a shout. Do you think it's fair to say that Little Mendy is potentially been the most consistent player for Watford over the last 2 months?
Yes, I think. Yeah, I wouldn't.
James
I wouldn't.
Sabankra you could throw in as well as maybe one of the most consistent as well.
Yeah, a Banqua. Yeah, I think the both of them. I think they've both been really good. I mean, those first few games that Mendy was back in the side, he was superb. like really good. You could really tell what we'd been missing. But yeah, I think I do believe that. To be fair, I'd actually probably say a banker over Mendy as being the most
Yeah,
consistent. But yeah, they both impressed. I think. I'm just trying to think if there's anybody else. Do you know who I've been really impressed with actually, and who I was really impressed with at the weekend was Kunda. Like I was really skeptical about him coming to the side. If you remember from the previous podcast, I said I
mm,
didn't feel that he warranted coming straight back in the side. But I'm noticing a different Kunda. I think he looks a lot better. His pace is unreal. I mean, he's
yeah,
explosive. He's
burning.
literally he's explosive. And obviously he was really unlucky Friday night. He nearly scored an absolute worldie. It would have been goal of the season.
It was unreal.
He was so close. There's just little aspects of his game that he just needs to tweak. But if he keeps playing the way he is, then yeah, I can see why Bayern Munich think he's going to be a top player.
I think he's getting close for Watford, isn't he? Like the performances are getting there. I think he's improving with each game. I think that fitness and that consistency is getting there. He looks much sharper than what he did when he was coming off the bench before that sending off Joe. So I think he's getting there. I just wanted to sort out his attitude a little bit. I thought he was very lucky the other day when he was on a yellow card and then he kept on making fouls, and I thought he was just going to get sent off at this point. So I think he's got to work on that side of things, but he's definitely got something to offer. Especially when
Yeah,
Watford don't have any pace in the side at the moment, and he's the only one that can bring it. And he can draw fouls. He can get us up the pitch. He can potentially score screamers, and he was so close at the weekend. And I think he's a danger. I really do, and I like him. I just want him to sort out that attitude because I think sometimes that can get him into trouble. And I think he's walking a very fine line to getting another red card at some points in matches. But yeah, other than that, I've been impressed with him. He seems to have really knuckled down. And I think this is what Ed Steele's done. I think he's given opportunities to players who have been out of the team. They've came in, they've worked hard, and they've shown why they should be in and around the team. Irakunda's an example. Petris, who was basically frozen out by Javi Gracia. He's came in and he's done well off the bench. Mendy, little Mendy, absolutely outstanding. He's done really well under Edge Still. He did well under Charlie Daniels as well. And then Kjerrumgaard, the improvement in Kjerrumgaard's been outstanding. Same with Edo Kayembe. Yes, he had a bit of a nightmare way at Preston where he was like, I don't know, non-existent. But since then, I think he's done all right. I think we missed him against Ipswich Town on that midweek fixture. I think if he was in that midfield, we would have competed maybe a little bit better. And yes, I know I've just said that about Eto KMB, but the other games, he's done very well. Against Derby, he was brilliant. Bristol City the other night, one of his best games he's had in a Watford shirt. So yeah, Ed Steele's definitely had an impact on some of the players, hasn't he? Where they've been frozen out, and it just turned them into much of a better players for Watford.
yeah. I think it's the same. Like you probably look at Man United with Carrick. A new manager's come in. They're breeding new ideas. They're wanting to get a positive attitude across within a club that's been quite renowned for being quite toxic. We're the same in that sense, I think. I say this every time a manager gets sacked with any club, but it's more so with us, and we know over the years it's been the case with us. Is there's too much player power within football clubs these days? You wouldn't see some of these players like I don't know, Troy Deeney, Ismail Assar, going back like that far, that would act the way they did under a person like Sir Alex Ferguson or Arsene Wenger or something. Back in the years like a long time ago. Would you? You just wouldn't have it. Like when you hear some of the stories that some of those old United players talk about how Fergie was back in the day. He ran a tight ship, which is why they were such a good team. You know, there's too many people that have too many. There's too bigger egos within football clubs nowadays, and I don't like that about football. I think football was all about you know. I appreciate managers aren't there for longevity anymore. There's a lot of people that get sacked very quickly these days. You only have to look at a club like Tottenham at the moment. You know, we laugh at Watford, but they're talking about sacking Tudor if they don't win tomorrow, because apparently there's problems within that dressing room. And you just think, like, the geezer's been in 3 weeks. How can you say he's lost the dressing room? They've had toughish fixtures. But yeah, with Ed Still, he's come in, he's breeding new ideas into a team that is low on confidence. He spoke in his when the podcast guys went to do the interview, he spoke about pulling people aside and working on some people individually. And I think he's obviously done that in players like Kunda and Mendy. And he's instilled a confidence. You look at Fooney as well. I mean, we still got to mention him. I mean, we talk about consistency. He's actually probably the person who's been the most consistent. I mean, he had a couple of stray passes that were a little bit off at Ipswich on Tuesday last week. But there was a few tackles that he made last ditch that were just unbelievable. He is this is probably a big shout, but he's up there with being one of my favourite loan signings that we've ever made.
Who else would be up there, as in like favourite loan signings that Watford have had that you've fallen in love with?
I Cleverly, that first time when Cleverly and Lansbury that year that we had them, they were just that as if take them as a pair. That was a phenomenal coup for Watford getting both of them at that time. And probably Vidra. I mean, he was obviously he was a loan signing that year under Zola. He was just, when I think some of the goals he scored, like, I remember going to Brighton that year and we won 3-1, and he was just he was just so good. Like, I just miss having a striker that has that sort of pace. I saw a post the other day from Watford saying it was no, it wasn't 15 years. How many years was it? 2015. So it'd have been 11 years ago, where we won 3-2 at Ellen Road. From being 2-0 down. And there's that first goal where Vidra gets the ball on the halfway line. He takes one look up and sees Deeney wants to make the run. He passes it through, and Deeney just puts his arm over one, shoulder barges the other out of the way, and he gets through on goal. And we just don't have a striker that can do that. It's something that we just miss. I miss having the Igalo, the Forestieri, the Vidra, the Deeney. We've been so blessed with strikers over the years. We need to get some players like that back. But yeah, if I'm talking about favourite loans, then Fooney, that duo of Lansbury and Cleverly and Vidra, I think are my. What about yours? Top sort of three.
I don't think you can go far wrong with Cleverly, Lansbury, Vidra. I know I'm just naming the same as you, but it's difficult. We should do a podcast on favourite loan players and actually look into it and study it, because I feel like there's so many that we can't even think of. If anyone's watching this back on YouTube or Spotify, write in your comments your favourite Watford loan players. I would be really keen to see what you guys have put, because my memory's just blank at the moment. There was obviously, you know what? I quite liked Michael Kitely.
Yeah,
I thought he did all right for Watford when he came in on loan. I'm definitely not going to say Collins John.
Do you
He
know?
was awful.
Do you know one I was really excited about actually that didn't work out? Was well, it kind of did. Do you remember Callum Davenport at West Ham?
He got injured straight
Yeah,
away,
he
didn't he?
did. He started, he scored on his debut, and then
Yeah,
after 27 minutes, he got injured and come off, and we never saw him again. And it was such a
yeah,
weird thing. So I was like, oh, he's a great player. This is going to be great for us. And that
yeah.
was like kind of like a real, like, yeah, come on, this is a great signing. And then it just all went south. Um,
Another couple that I'm going to throw into the mix. Did we get like Martin Taylor on loan originally, then sign him, and then same for Nairo Northworthy? Because I quite liked those, and then we made them into permanent moves.
I think
I
so.
know, I know someone who definitely was a loan that we didn't end up signing on a permanent was Andrew Taylor. Quite liked him.
Yeah, I liked Taylor a lot. He scored a fantastic goal at home to Portsmouth.
Mm.
That was a great
Um,
volley from outside of the box.
Live on
Um,
Sky as well. But yeah, there's so many. But yeah, it's literally going back to the same era, isn't it? Our players,
yeah, yeah.
especially when you
We'll
didn't
have
have
to have
much
a
money, and you had to get loan players in to make your squad better. And that was Watford didn't have a pot to piss in, so we heavily relied on loan players. I know, was it Malky McCoy used to talk about how he used to call up Alex Ferguson to try and get players, and that's how we ended up getting Tom Cleverley.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, Danny Webber.
Danny Webber too. Yeah. Um, well, yeah, talk about loans. One of the most exciting players that we got. And I remember watching him in pre-season. Obviously, the late Jimmy Davis.
Mm.
He was such a talented player, and he was left-sided. I remember seeing him at uh, I can't. Was it QPR away? I think it was. We had him pre-season. I remember going and I think it was QPR, and he looked really good, really good. And I think he came off injured in like the 70 something minute, which obviously then put him out for the start of the season. Obviously, that was when the tragic accident. But
Mm.
yeah, he was the most painful thing about him was the fact that I remember England really struggled for a left-sided player. There was a lot of people that were obviously talking up to come to us, have a good season, and they were talking. I remember people talking and saying he would fight Ryan Giggs for a starting position at United, um, and obviously, yeah, just really, really awful. Um, yeah,
Still
we've been.
remember the day, mate. That's
Yeah, I
yeah.
do. I do. I remember
Got to the
walking up
ground
Vicarage
early,
Road.
wasn't it? Yeah. And
Yeah,
then yeah,
and
getting told that the game was postponed. I ended up going back to that Watford Social Club. Can't remember what it's called. You know where the cricket pitch is?
yes, I do remember the West Herts Cricket
West
Club.
Herts
Yeah,
Club. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I ended up going back there, and it was just on the news, and it was just such a weird atmosphere. It was so sad. Because yeah, wasn't it on the way to the training ground or something where the accident happened, or or was it the night
no,
before? I
it
don't
was the
know.
night. It was the night before, and apparently he'd. I don't know how true the story was. I don't think I've ever known. I don't think I've ever known the full story, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't with the team because he was injured. He'd been on a night out the night before. I think he'd dropped his girlfriend home, and then he was driving back towards Watford Way, ready to join up with the squad on Saturday, because he obviously didn't need to be with the team overnight, and he was overtaking a car and went under a lorry. He just lost control,
It's
and
so
um,
tragic.
yeah, and obviously that's you think this year that's 23 years ago. I think it was that happened. So
Was it Coventry at home we was due to play?
yeah, Coventry at home, yeah, and
First game of the season, yeah.
it ended up being Palace away that we played first game of the season. Then the first home game was Bournemouth, and then every game that year we ended up coming out to Gangsters Paradise, didn't we, from Coolio, because that was the song
Yeah,
he
we
sang
did.
in the thing. So
No, it's
yeah,
lovely. Yeah, it's sad way to end the podcast, but yeah, just
Yeah.
reminiscing about our loan players, and obviously we have to talk about Jimmy Davis, player that Watford fans didn't really get to see, gone way too early, loan player from Manchester United. So yeah, will always be in the thoughts of Watford players. A guy with bags full of potential, and like Joe said, could have maybe gone on and challenged Ryan Giggs for that left hand side. So yeah, will always be in our thoughts. But yeah, I think we'll probably end it there. Everyone, we've been going for an hour and 10. I think we'll rename this podcast to Ben and Joe going off topic. Done it quite a bit tonight, but yeah, loads of decent subjects, playoffs hopes, Watford's run-ins, cup final against Wrexham, change to the playoff systems, Udinese rejects, Watford's most consistent players, Ed still improving players, and then favourite loan players that end. So yeah, I think we've stuck to the schedule tonight, Joe. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching tonight. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you hit those like buttons and subscribe buttons. Leave your comments as well. We do read every single comment, so do appreciate everyone's support with us. And we'll be back soon. So come on, you Orns.